Hey guys, hope you're all doing well. So to run this podcast through, we've had a couple of people say to us in the past, we don't know who's who. So I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Indy. He's Karan, aka the Doctor. Hope you guys got the intro name correctly and understand the concept of the name. I'm pretty sure it went over a few people's heads, but it is what it is. Karan, just want to check and see how you are this week. It's been a while since we did this. We actually recorded that last podcast end of December or just before Christmas. So it took a bit of time to get everything together and to set it all up and release it. Had a bit of feedback on the sound quality. So we're doing it over Zoom. Can't do it face to face. No social distancing this time, Karan. So hopefully we will be having a better response to the audio. Give us a shout out, let us know all is okay. Karan, take it away. Tell me how you've been.
Been good, my friends. So really good Christmas break, I would say. For myself personally, it's been a long summer. So lockdown 1, COVID, emergency rota. So that Christmas breaking period, which last year for me wasn't that good. This year was very enjoyable. And enjoyable for me means lots of mince pies, lots of board games, and lots of films. We got to run through Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings.
I need to do that still. I've been trying to do it with my fiance Sanj, but she's not up for it. So I'm going to try and make my mum rewatch it. Every time she watches it, she thinks it's like a brand new show. She's like, oh my God, I've not seen this before. I'm like, Mum, you've definitely seen this before. I've been through this with you at least a few years ago with the whole family at the house.
Which one? Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings?
Harry Potter. Lord of the Rings is not my thing. That's more my brother-in-law's thing. He loves that.
I think maybe I should do this podcast with your brother-in-law.
Maybe you should. You can run one with him afterwards and ask him and tell him how he is.
I think we need to have words off camera and off podcasts about Lord of the Rings. I mean, we'll get into that on another podcast about some of the greatest, let me just stress that again, some of the greatest films ever made. Actually, write that down. That'd be a great topic of discussion about the best films ever made and the messages. But Lord of the Rings for me, man, is some of the very best. Again,
break it down
because I've read the books.
I do not see the hype. It is not that great.
You want me to break it down? Okay, so there's some
there's
some evil forces,
not now,
and some good forces.
Another time. Oh my God.
The struggle of evil and good. It's really that simple.
You mean like every film, the struggle of evil and good?
Correct.
So why is this one? No, I'm not doing this. No, you're baiting me into this, right? I'm not doing it. Okay, another topic, another time. No way. I'm not
coming back to your original question. So yeah, life has been good over the break, and it's been the first week back now at work, as it were, into hospitals, doing meetings, getting ready to run courses, although it be in a different way. We got your birthday. Your birthday's tomorrow. We can talk about that as well.
Why are you telling everyone about my business, man?
That's very important, man. Show you some love. Huh?
Last year, the 20s, man. Let's go.
Last year, 20s. Oh, wow. You are becoming a Buddha. If anyone doesn't speak Punjabi, Buddha means old man. And Indies officially, you're turning 30 tomorrow.
My back and knees have always made me an old man. That's just my thing. So, yeah. 29 tomorrow, man.
29. Okay, she's not 30, so there you go. So
last year 20s, yeah.
Okay.
You will always be 1 year older than me, Karan. Never forget that.
Well, all the aspirations you had about being a basketball player, they're slowly leaving, aren't they now? And just.
You know what? I was such a bad basketball player at school. Don't get me wrong. I love the sport. I just cannot play it. Same with football. I love it. I just cannot play it. And then, I'm just not good at sports in that way. I'm not gifted as such.
Okay, I played a bit of basketball in school. Now, look, given my height, 5'4", not a prolific slam dunker, but where I did have skill was running plays, and I understood how to move the ball around.
Because you like being the leader and the guy who tells you how to do things. But
it came very easily to me. And I remember this isn't very high level. This is like year 8, year 9, what we used to call interform. So the 4 forms counts. In a year. Yeah, it does all count. We did win.
I guarantee you wrote this on your application to get to be a doctor, saying I show leadership skills from my time running point guard plays as a basketball player. I ran the team. I was captain. I bet you did all of that, all of those lines, all of it. Yes, MVP trophies, everything. MVP.
It was, it was really enjoyable. And if I think back to it now, so I attended Queen Mary's Grammar School in Warsaw, which academically was a very good school, but I'd say we were financially challenged. We had our kind of area or arena where we did play basketball was outside.
Mm.
It was called the CPA, Charlie Papa Alpha, which standard for, you want to take a guess?
CPA to me, I'm a marketer, so that means cost per acquisition, but I don't know what that stands
Right.
for.
Okay, that's good knowledge. I like that. We'll get into that, Mr. Marketer. CPA stands for, ready? You ready for this? Covered play area. Yeah. We had a covered
That's the
play area.
most basic.
The
What?
most
Why have
basic
you
thing
made that
ever.
into an acronym? Just call it a playground or a court.
No, the CPA. And then when I left, it got upgraded to the MPA, multi-play area. Whoa.
Wow.
Now that's called branding and marketing right there, my friend. Anyway, so
Definitely
this
right
was
there, man.
basically an outdoor concrete thing with hoops that have been donated to us by some charity.
But you're a grammar school.
But like I said, no, we were financially challenged, academically excellent, financially challenged. I played hockey to a good level all the way through the 7 years, and our home ground was 30 minutes away. Okay, just to give you an idea.
It wasn't even on campus, mad.
No. Anyway, so my memories are playing basketball, running plays, a few layups. I could do a few layups. That was my kind of thing. But just being really creative with the passes. And now, like I'm not as big as a fan as you in terms of watching basketball, but the skill when it comes to moving the ball away and the creativity, I absolutely appreciate, and the fitness that you need to get up and down the court, which I did not appreciate until I played the game, and realized it is non-stop. I forget. I don't know how we got into this topic, but I do love.
What did we start with? But this is all right though. This is the way it goes. We started with Christmas breaks, how it's going, etc. Okay. So all in all, you had a nice break. Is basically the nutshell of it. Yeah.
Yeah. And yours?
It was good, man. It's a topic that I want to cover because I was suffering from burnout generally, and it's weird because one of our mates, Dev, he messaged us, and he said, this week, can you guys talk about burnout? Because he's actually a med student at the moment. I think he's in his F1 or F2 year. I'm sorry if I got that wrong. I don't know if that's the right term or not.
He's completed. He's a doctor now, yes?
I think so. I could be wrong. Yeah. If I am wrong, I'm sorry there. But he's working in that environment. Obviously, it's been quite difficult for him because going into that level as a doctor, going into hospitals with COVID and trying to balance all of that. And obviously, I think he's having to live near London or on the outskirts near the hospital he's based at, and he's living in some kind of student accommodation that was inadequate, etc. But he said he wanted us to talk about burnout, and it's weird because I was suffering from burnout massively prior to Christmas, and the Christmas break couldn't have come any sooner. I feel loads better now and I feel fresh, but I think it was a genuine thing, and I'm not sure if you experienced the same thing, because obviously in hospital wards this year it must have been like a roller coaster for you.
Yeah, and quick shout out here to Dev, and thank you so much, my friend, to bring this great topic to the table here. Something that I feel isn't really talked about enough. There seems to be a taboo about it, especially within the healthcare industry, where you're supposed to be some sort of soldier that kind of just keeps soldiering on. You're not supposed to show any emotion, because emotion is weakness, and you just kind of get through it day to day, pat on the back, thank you, come back tomorrow morning and just magically recharge your batteries. So definitely a great topic. And I love how indeed we will both get into it about our own stories around burnout, because I think at some point in everybody's life, everybody will be subject to some degree of burnout. And an extension of that, I would say all of us are on the spectrum for suffering a degree of mental health. And again, that would be a great topic to get into. What I would say, Indy, before we get in, is just so our viewers have an understanding of what you do, because it's quite obvious in my title what I do.
Oh yeah, true.
Primarily, but you said just before Christmas period you were feeling a bit of burnout. I know why, because I know what you do. Do you want to just let everyone know what it is you do?
Yeah, so I work in marketing at a Shopify agency in Birmingham, and I run predominantly Google Ads. So all of my work in this period obviously has been based with online marketing, getting everything running for our clients, making sure everything was good. There's obviously that massive sale period prior to Christmas for Black Friday and Cyber Monday, and then getting clients offers ready for Christmas and trying to prepare for the break where you're not in office over Christmas. That was the biggest challenge I had. And that's pretty much the work that I do on a weekly basis, trying to get, online performances for our clients to set up correctly, making sure they're meeting their strategy and all of that. So that's my day to day. Nowhere near as intense as yours or important as yours on a healthcare front or saving lives front.
Wow, we're not here to compare these, nothing like that,
I
my
mean, we
friend.
can if you want. I'm pretty sure you'll
No,
win.
no, I wouldn't say that. I think you provide a lot of value for what you do, and specifically, the industries that I'm or the work I'm getting into outside of medicine. So it's specifically the coaching aspect, which I offer to my clients. Heavily is reliant on people like yourself, marketing.
Yeah.
And when I was in purely the medical industry, I had no concept, of what marketing was, what good marketing is, how to produce a good offer, SEO, paid advertising. But
Yeah.
being around this environment now, having lots of detailed conversations with you and other people in this industry, it's opened your eyes to how actually marketing is everywhere. When you're in the car and you're driving down, you listen to the radio, do 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 do. I'm loving it. You got these tunes, you got this seeding. You're seeing digital ad
I
boards.
can't believe you did the jingle.
You got to do the jingle, man. I mean, I was
Yeah.
give you a little side story. I was at a marketing course recently. It's called Facebook, fully booked Facebook camp, some boot camp, something like that. And essentially, I had this question for the guy running it, and he's a top level marketer. And I was like, look, brands like Coca-Cola, McDonald's, why do they even run ads? And before I give you the answer, Indy, you're a marketer. I'm gonna put you on the spot here,
Yeah.
so you can show off your knowledge to all our listeners. Yeah,
You're
why
gonna show me up, man.
Well, you want to ask me medical questions. I'm going to ask you marketing questions.
Yeah,
Why do
but the
brands
thing
as
is,
big
right?
as
No. This is cheeky because you know the answer about my expertise. It's like me asking you a question about your expertise and knowing the answer and waiting for you to trip up. So go on, ask me the question, and I guarantee I'm going to fall into this big gaping hole you got for me.
there is
Go on.
no wrong answers in life? Okay, there's simply perspective. So, brands. Now, listeners at home, you also think about it. Would you need an ad to remind you to go and buy Domino's Pizza, McDonald's, Coca-Cola, or are you just going to buy that anyway? So the question is, why do those companies with such high brand value already, such weighting, still run ads? That's the question.
So I think it's because to stay at front of mind. So to always remind the customer that you're still there. No matter what you do, you can always fall to the wayside. No company is ever bulletproof from not needing to do marketing or branding or to keep themselves relevant. So it's very important to always have a message behind your company running at all times. Otherwise, you can not fall to the wayside, but you can disappear or your market share will shrink. And when that happens, you're in dangerous territory. And Coca-Cola have been around for years, so I don't see them going anywhere. But people say the same thing about Blockbuster, and that's a very different scenario because the industry changed completely. It's not for Blockbuster. They said that people enjoy going to store and buying the actual DVD
or
and
renting,
enjoying the experience and going there and coming out. And Netflix just came along and just squashed them. And that's because consumer behavior changed. I don't think consumer behavior towards drinking something is going to change. You're not going to consume that differently.
Or plug it in or take it intravenously.
Yeah.
Agreed.
But then, so in the soft drink industry, I think it's a bit of a different thing. But you still don't want your market share to change.
See, what were you so worried about, man? That was an excellent answer. That's exactly, I would have said it in slightly different words. So you said something about, what was it about the mind? Keeping it in mind, yeah?
Keeping it front of mind. So you always want to be in front of your customer's mind.
That's it. So I use the word seeding. That's what I was taught. You seed mind space. So there's a bit of your brain, which is like, okay, if I want food now, it's midnight. When we're going to go? Mackey's. I want to get something delivered, Amazon. If I want to buy trainers, Adidas or Nike. So, and that's brand value. So yeah, marketing is very, very important, man. And it's the reason why we take action. And the biggest thing I learned when I first started a company and business was just because you have a good product doesn't mean, or absolutely, yeah, it doesn't mean that people can see it. And so unless you have visibility, and this is the key word for me, this is where marketing really came in, visibility, getting the right product in front of the right people or the right solution, let's say. So for me, it's teaching medical courses and also helping coaching clients get clarity and focus on their life and answer that question of who am I and how do I build an authentic life? Marketing. So thank you so much for what you do. And I love that we work together, not only in this podcast space together, you're my full-time videographer, you produce all my content. My long-term aspiration for you is to be my D-Rock. For people who don't know who that is, D-Rock is the full-time videographer to Gary Vee. If you don't know who Gary Vee is, pause the podcast, look him up, consume a
No,
little bit
don't
of his
pause the
content.
podcast. Don't pause the podcast. Finish it, right, and then check him after. All right, he gets enough traction. Okay. Flattering to hear you want me to be D-Rock. I got a long way to go until I match that guy, but hopefully I can get there. But bringing this back about 15 steps now, because we do this a lot. Burnout, yeah. Okay.
Burnout.
So burnout. What experience have you had with it? Because yours is going to be very different to mine. I think people are going to have an idea of mine because of what I've said earlier, but tell me about yours and your experiences, because yours isn't just related to medical either. Yours is other stuff.
So I said, the primary or the first experience I had of burnout would be probably where Dave is now. And Dave is in a very unique position, as you mentioned earlier. It's, when you graduate as a doctor, in case you're 23 years old, or probably 24 in Dave's case, because I'm only intercalated, he's an extra year. You come out, and although you've got this title now, and you have this piece of paper which says doctor, and you turn up on the ward on the first day, there is no difference between you're a student the day before and you're a doctor the next day, right? From a how you feel point of view, from an experience point of view, you still have no experience.
Yeah.
Although, we studied our last 3-4 years of medical school, we're in the hospital, we're on the wards, we're learning the trade.
Yeah, but that's because everyone knows that when you can learn everything out of a book, but until you apply it, you're not going to know what it's really like and if it's really for you. So you can sit and be taught it, but it doesn't mean jack unless you go out and try it and realize that it works, or if you make your mistakes and learn your lessons.
Yeah, and that's why most medical degrees in the UK have that kind of apprenticeship model where yes, we have lectures, but a lot of the time we need to be in it. We need to be in accident emergency. We need to be on the wards. We need to be in GP practices. Now, the difference obviously between being a student and actually working as a doctor is accountability and responsibility massively. Now, being a student, sometimes I think, oh, if I could just be a student again. And actually, my current work setup is that one day a week, I actually fall into that kind of student role where I actually go and learn from someone more senior, more experienced than me. And there's very little responsibility. I'm purely there to learn. And that's the beautiful thing about being a student. You turn up, you see all the cool things, you learn what you want to learn, and then you just go home whenever you want. Whereas when you graduate and you're a doctor, it's a job, isn't it? So there's expectation, you're there from your contracted hours and the responsibility. It's harder now in the period of Dave is qualified because the expectation, the weight of expectation of a doctor is massively higher because we have massive holes in the NHS. We are massively overrun with COVID patients coming in.
Yeah.
Plus, remember, and I think this is the thing that people forget. So ITU, intensive care, is full of COVID patients, right? But there
Why is it
are
called
other
ICU and not ICU, just as a separate thing?
Yeah, so intensive treatment unit, intensive care unit, synonymous words. It's just whatever you prefer.
It's the same thing. All right, cool.
Yeah, a bit like A&E, ED, ER, all exactly the same.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah, and yeah, so you're going to have your COVID patients who are in ITU. That's fine, but if somebody's come in and they've got an infection which isn't COVID, and they become very unwell, and they get what we call septicemia, they may also need ITU. So you've still got every other type of patient who's unwell still coming to hospital. So although we're saying to people, don't come to hospital unless you're very unwell, okay, and so the people who have sort of niggly pains and scratches and things, good, they're not coming in. But people with heart attacks are still coming in. People with other breathing problems still coming in. People with kidney failure still coming in. So that's the massive amount of work we're having to deal with. It's the pandemic of this one thing plus all the normal stuff. And so when you're 23, and this, when I think about this in context, it's like, okay, you're 23 years old, and as a doctor, there's some of the decisions we have to make, life and death, have conversations with people about how unwell they are, how we don't think they're going to get any better, or, they're asking us very, very high level questions. And again, the maturity you need to have at 23 with very little sort of working experience, it's a tough job. And it really is sort of a, rites of passage, and you have to go through the paces and get the experience. Now, I've been doing it for how long now? 7 years, 8 years now. But there are still days where things scare me. And I tell all my junior doctors and people I mentor now, that's absolutely fine. It's understanding your own limitations and vulnerabilities and knowing when and how and who to ask for help is very crucial. And I have no qualms, going to other registrars or going to my consultants saying, look, I am really concerned about this patient, and this is why. But again, when you're young, you think, oh, I don't want to be seen as like, I don't know something. And so you may keep that to
I
yourself.
feel like that now. Like even today,
Go
I
on.
still feel like I don't want to. It's hard to step away and say, I don't know what I'm on about here. I'm not going to comment on it, because you can get duped into saying you know something, and then people are like, oh, really? And they let you run with it and watch you fall on your face, and you get laughed at. Difference is in your industry, if you do that, someone dies, right?
Yeah.
So the consequences and the stakes are much higher.
They are, but it doesn't stop people. It doesn't stop people. It doesn't stop all people, let's say. So people, sometimes their insecurities, it's not that they put it ahead of, patients' sort of outcomes and patient welfare. No doctor should or would do that. But maybe they're not as forthcoming. So maybe, they try a few things, or they just don't tell you that they need some help earlier on. And, when I was so 23, I graduated. The first 2 years of what you said, F1, so that's foundation year 1, then F2, foundation year 2, are your sort of basic years of training, and you sort of rotate around. You have 3 jobs a year, each lasting 4 months, to get a kind of feel of different types of medicine. So
you're in different wards.
Yeah, exactly. So, I did geriatrics, that's care of the elderly. I did renal medicine, that's kidney. I did respiratory. I did cardiology. I did
What's the
general
difference between
surgery.
respiratory and cardiology? I'm just asking as a dumb person.
Yeah, so respiratory means anything to do with the lungs, and cardiology is anything to do with the heart.
Oh, because if you say cardio to me, I think lungs and heart, because cardio is in the gym. That's why it gets mixed. But all right.
Yeah, so we take cardiorespiratory. That would be our medical lingo. And the more senior you get, so when I got to 25, I then went into sort of more specialized medical training. So my pursuit was sort of medical focused. And, the rotas get harder. So there's more nights, there's more weekends, there's more days on, so essentially more than 12-hour shifts with less rest days. And that's when I first started to feel burnout. And the way I
so how many years
burnout,
ago was this? Was this recent, or was this at the beginning when you moved into being a full-time doctor?
So to give you some context, I'm 30 years old now. This is age 25.
Wow, you burnt out young, man. Jeez.
Yeah. So I wouldn't say it wasn't full out burnout, but I'd say I could feel it, because the first year, like I said, it's a rite of passage. You're really sort of, you're young, and you have a lot of energy, and you think, okay, this is fine because this is what everyone goes through. And I think that's the fallacy. The fallacy is thinking, yeah, this is supposed to be like this, and it's okay. I'm a doctor. What was I to expect? I can't just leave at 5 o'clock. When your patient's there, you leave when everything's sorted. And the critical thing for me was the developing of what I call emotional fatigue, or empathetic fatigue.
I've seen people talk about this recently. Yeah.
What we heard?
I've just seen, I think it was an article on the BBC News where they were talking about doctors suffering from emotional fatigue, because you get to a point where you're just so worn out about not giving a shit, but just so worn out to actually show emotion for things that you just become numb to it. Robotic. You're like, I can't be bothered, and I'm just a robot. Somebody came on LBC with James O'Brien and said that recently. He said, I'm just worn out. And they said, I don't have the capacity to actually not care for people, but to show them the emotional validation, like it's going to be all right, etc. And maybe this is why doctors sometimes have really dry humor, because that's the only way that they can cope with things. They're so worn out from showing that they are worried and concerned about a person, that you just want to go the opposite way and not overcompensate, but balance it out.
No, that's a very, very good point. And it's a very fine balance as a doctor, because if you're, let's use the word emotional, if you're overly emotional, right, and everything sets you off, everything triggers you, and triggers a good word here. Triggering for people that don't know is, say me, I say something to Indy and he gets pissed off and he starts shouting at me, or, he walks off. And
we all have a friend who does that to us. Like, it's normal.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think who triggers you the most.
Who triggers me the most? Sometimes you.
Probably Gopi. No, it's probably Gopi, isn't it?
Gopi. No. Gopi plays the antagonizer, right? He'll try and trigger me, and then Harper will jump in and add some more like salt on it.
Masala.
And then I'm like, yeah, masala or salt on it, and I'm like, oh, okay. Then I start getting triggered, and then I think I've got to fight back. But
okay, so let's just put that out. So Harpal, you're saying Harpal is the trigger. Guys, just to give you a bit of context here. So both the guys we're talking about here are both members of our Bhangra team that we also compete with. Rapal is our captain.
Competed. We're not making a comeback. It's over.
Never say never. Kabhi alvida mein kehna.
Don't do this, man. Don't do this.
Okay. I'm still in good shape. I've never been better shape thanks to my PT. My legs never been stronger. I can do berke, no problem.
Berke squats.
Berke squats. And so people that trigger you. So trigger. If you got triggered as a doctor to everything that was said, okay?
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of sad things, obviously, as you can imagine, that we see in hospital. Then you'd be emotional wreck and you'd be crying, and you wouldn't be productive. You wouldn't be efficient. You wouldn't be able to get things done.
Yeah.
If you're just sobbing away. So that's one extreme, and then the other extreme is, like you said, completely numb and robotic. And this, I feel, and this happened to me, sort of unknowingly. I think a lot of people go through it unconsciously. It's a trade-off. You become more efficient because you are able to differentiate or take away the emotion of the situation. But the issue then becomes, it's like, for example, booking a camera test. Okay, so an OGD. I'll explain it. So an OGD is a type of camera test that we request where the camera passes through your mouth, down your food pipe.
This makes me want to feel sick, man. When I hear this procedure, like, it sounds so horrible. Are you conscious for this?
You're given what we call sedation. So you're a bit drowsy. You're still awake. You're not passed out. It's not general anesthetic as you would when if you had an operation.
Yeah.
But you shouldn't really remember it. Now, when you have this, it's a big procedure.
Yeah.
But like for me, I might book one of these every 2 days. It's really, really common for me to book these now. So if we see a patient, we might say, oh yeah, you just need a camera, as like a passing comment, as if it's so small. Now try and imagine being the person who's not a medic, who's not a clinician, who's just a normal person. Okay. To them, this is huge, big thing. You're saying you're going to put a cannula in me. The cannula is like a small thing, so we can give you some drugs, that medication that will essentially sedate you, so we can pass this big camera through your throat down into your stomach. It's not a small thing.
Yeah.
And you expect them just to be, for us, it's just you type it on a computer, you book the scan, thank you, bye-bye. You don't think about it because now I need to move on to the next job, because we don't look after one patient. On a typical day, I might be looking after 8 to 10 patients who all have their own complex needs. Yeah. And you have to juggle, he's a little bit more unwell now. So I need to focus on him a little bit more, or no, he's a bit more unwell, I need to sort him out, or he needs to go home and we need to free up the bed for the next patient to come in. So doctors are constantly juggling, and that obviously adds to the, the risk of burnout, because the ability to do that juggling, that's a skill set in itself. And that comes with time, and experience, and your ability to be resourceful and know how to leverage and how to delegate effectively. Again, skills which medical school definitely do not teach you. And when you turn up as a new doctor, it's not just something, just because you are a doctor, that you will be able to do. You have to learn these things. You have to practice these things. You have to hone these skills. So that was the biggest thing for me. It was feeling that, I'm not connected to my patients as much as I used to be, right? And you ask most people.
Hang on, but doesn't that stop you from becoming too connected? Because say if you hand a patient over and you leave, and the next day they're not there anymore because they passed away, doesn't that sort of take a bit away from you with your empathetic levels? Like it not hardens you, but you then have a tendency to become quite detached to your patients in order to use it as a coping mechanism.
Explain your question.
Explain the what?
Explain what was your point of question there?
So it wasn't a point of question. I'm saying you said it's because doctors need to detach themselves, right? And they need to.
They do, but what we're talking about is the extremes, isn't it? So
yeah,
you need to detach to a point so you can be efficient and productive and you actually get the things done for your patient they need.
But my point is that if a doctor, so is it common for doctors to become more detached from their patients because they use it as a coping mechanism from previous experiences in the past, where they handed a patient over, they left, came back in the next day, and the patient had died, and they thought that they were going to be completely fine? Is that to stop that from happening, or is that more as a result of something that's happened in the past? It's, as you said, a learned experience to get them to that point. of where they are with their empathetic levels.
I see your question now. So what you're saying is it as a result, or is it the reason, the driver for developing that kind of behavior? I'd say that's part of it, but I'd say the more common reason why people develop that pattern of detachment is more for efficiency. At the end of the day, we still want to leave at 5 o'clock, right? There are days where I don't leave at 5 o'clock because of patient needs. That's fine. Now, obviously, when we finish shift, we do hand over things, but there's a doctor kind of unwritten doctor code where it's like, you don't really want to hand over complex things to your colleagues if you can manage it. If it's a one-off day where you're having to do that, that's fine, but you don't want to be leaving. When I started as a junior doctor, my first job, general surgery, I was leaving most days 6:30, 7 o'clock, most days. Just because, we didn't have, committed or inefficient, it depends how you look at it, but we didn't have the skill set to prioritize and understand what needs to be done and how to get it done. So the logistical aspects of the job. So I'd say the driver, or the main reason why people get to that level of detachment, is actually for efficiency. It's, I need to get my stuff done.
Yeah.
And this is the way to do it. But as you get older, more experienced, and you get more wisdom, because now I'm at the point where I'm able to get a lot of the logistical aspects of my job done quicker, it means the time I've created, I can actually spend with my patients more effectively. So that's the other side to it, of how you can counter that kind of, not feeling empathetic and disconnected. Because ultimately, the difference between a robot doing this and me doing it is that human touch. And it's a lot of the time I have to deliver horrible news or, not nice news. And so when you go into these situations, so for example, if somebody's had a scan, okay, and the reason why we're doing the scan is because we think they have cancer, and we've done the scan and it's probably cancer, right? And Indy, because you film our medical courses where we teach the students, they have to do this in a kind of with an actor and a simulated timed experience environment. What's the number one thing I give, this is the feedback I always give the students. I say, look, although this is an exam, okay, and you're trying to pass the station, this conversation itself, there is no, you've got to get away from the idea of winning this conversation. There's no way you win this. There's no way you leave saying, yes, I smashed that conversation. And remember, that's
bad news.
It's bad news, exactly. Now that's in the exam setting, but obviously when it translates into real life, when I have to do this, it's, can I give this person sitting in front of me here the respect, dignity, and time, all with integrity, of me being there and delivering this news to them, rather than being a robot, rather than them receiving it in a letter, rather than them just sort of being told like a flippant comment, me taking the time, looking into their eyes, saying, this is what it is.
Yeah.
My job now is to X, Y, Z. Yeah. And I'd say, 95% of my job is, or the number one skill, that's the other way of looking at it, is being an effective communicator. That's the number one thing I hold above all other skills as a clinician. Yes, knowledge is important. Yes, being resourceful is important, but I'd say the number one thing for me is being an effective communicator.
So you suffered from burnout at 25, and would you say that became an annual thing where it kicked in again and you have to take time off and reset, or did you find a better way of maintaining that?
So at 25, when that burnout kicked in, the question that came in my mind after that, so when I was, like I said, I was unaware, I was unconscious to this, but then I did become conscious to it. So, and this may have been the same for you, but when I started going through that burnout, what do you feel? You feel tired a lot of the time. Like I was coming back from work and just sleeping. And once you get into that cycle, there's no sort of differentiation between, time off and being at work. Everything just seemed to be being at work. And weekend, Groundhog Day, and weekend seemed to be the only sort of release. But I started thinking there's got to be another way. And I started thinking there's got to be more to life. And, the people around me who know that actually now I'm in a point in my life where there's a lot of variety in my life and I combine my medicine with entrepreneurship. The primary driver for me seeking entrepreneurship and what people, like to call side hustles and all these other things is because thinking there's got to be more to life. How can I facilitate that? And so when I shifted my focus, that was the first thing I did to sort of get out of the burnout, was shifting focus to other things away from medicine. So
hang on. So you cope? Are you saying you cope with burnout by taking more on?
at this point, I didn't take more on. I said I shifted my focus. I didn't have 3, 4 businesses like I have now and then, but I started reading. So that was all I was doing. From 25 to 27, I got into personal development, so the personal development industry. I was reading a lot of non-medical books. I was watching a lot of videos on YouTube. Not so much podcasts back then. It wasn't a big thing for me then. I attended a few live seminars, and it was just being around people where, the topic of conversation wasn't medicine, and it wasn't medical exams, and it wasn't what type of doctor you want to be, and when do you want to be a consultant, because that's all that people talk about when they're in this sort of medical field and medical industry. This was just like, look at all this other stuff that's out there you can do, and big high level questions like, what's the purpose of life, and where are you going, and are you happy, like things that most people, like I said, within the medical industry aren't consciously thinking of. It probably does crop up in their minds, but do you have the time to address it? And what that meant was, instead of coming back and sleeping, right? Because the reason why I was sleeping was, when I was burnt out, was I had nothing to do. It's like I come back, okay, I've done all my medically bits, which I have to do for portfolio. I might watch a bit of Netflix. But that's it. Like, if we're going to meet mates or whatever. But like now it was, I've got to focus. So that was the initial thing for me. That was the focus. And then that served me well until, like you said, then I got really, really busy, right? So now it's like, okay, so I've set up the businesses, and that's fine. But as the businesses time, they start to grow, they start to take up more of your time and energy. And to give you sort of like a sense of that, there was a period in my life where it was the kind of December, January period. I think I did 45 days, including weekends, straight.
45 days straight?
Yeah, so that's no sort of day off, as it were. And it was like, so running an event.
What possessed you to do that? Did no one intervene in your family and say, Karan, we never see you? Like, or did no one say, like,
well, they were seeing me. It's not that they weren't seeing me, but it was I'd say the hustler mindset, and great topic for discussion that we will get into. I would say the fallacy of
here's the thing,
mindset.
right? It gets glorified a lot. Like, people see the
100%.
whole thing. People see this whole thing of like entrepreneurs being like, oh, look at this splash car, look at this, that, and the other, and they're looking at somebody who's got everything now, but they're not looking at how they got there. And some of them, the entrepreneurs, don't help because they might live up to it and say you have to work hard, and then to other people like myself, I would interpret that as, oh, I've got to work every day then. And they're saying, yeah, you kind of do. And if you notice with some people's content, like Gary V, he said, you can give up sleep to do your side hustle. I'm like, yeah, you can, but you can burn the fuck out as well. And you can get ill, and you can lose you can lose connections with friends. And you've got to think of the weighing out part of it. It doesn't seem healthy to do something like that. And there is a balance that has to be struck in there. I think Sanj has helped me a lot with that, because she stopped me from putting too much of my time into doing everything. It's just essentially you have to narrow it down to 1 or 2 things, get that sorted, then move on to the next thing. If I don't do that, I burn out very quickly, and I turn into the mindset of just saying, fuck this, I don't want to do anything, leave me alone. I've had enough, I'm done, right? And I have a tendency to swing wildly between being very busy or not busy at all. I'm still trying to find that balance in the middle that is really hard to achieve. Now, glorifying the burnout thing is very real, and I don't think people see that unless they talk to an entrepreneur one-to-one and say, but do you genuinely do this for 10 years straight? You didn't have a day off, you did this, that's it, nothing else. Like, seriously, are you gonna look me in the eye and say that? Like, I don't believe you, man.
I agree. I think, and look, I'm a prime example. I went through that. I know what it's like to read Grant Cardone's book, 10x rule, okay, and just try and 10x everything, and just feel invincible.
10x rule?
Yeah, so it's just 10, and then the multiply sign x. So it's like 10x your life. So 10 times, multiply up by 10. Everything, results up by 10, effort up by 10. So just 10x everything, not 1x. It's a very American.
Is that all right? So 10x sleep then, yeah, wicked. I'm up for that, man.
Yeah. but one thing they always say is, you don't need sleep, and you can sleep when you're dead, and all this stuff. And I think it is all just.
That
I
motto
think,
is so dangerous. People say that on
yeah,
stag do's. You can sleep when you're dead, man.
yeah.
I'm like, yeah, you can do, but you can also die right here and not get home to take your pick.
I think 50 Cent said it as well. I think I heard E.T., the
Eric
motivational
Thomas.
guy,
Yeah,
Eric
yeah.
Thomas. Yeah, yeah. He said it once about 50 Cent. And look, I think there definitely has to be a balance. And where I am right now in my life, the I'm very mindful. I'll use that word. I'm very mindful and conscious to the fact that burnout is never too far away. Okay, I am a person who likes to be before it'd be busy, and now I would say I like creative projects. So I'm a big believer that the worst two things you can have in life are regret. Okay, so I try and when I'm making decisions, when I'm conscious of decision, I'm mindful and present. It's if I'm going to do this or not do this, is there going to be regret down the line? So that's number one. And number two is mental stagnation or boredom. Okay, I think people who have this goal of retiring or not doing anything or living off passive income or sitting on a beach or just being at
Yeah,
home,
yeah.
it's not sustainable. It's not something I would want. Although, again, initially, when I started the entrepreneurship, that was the goal. It was
But again, that's also been glorified, hasn't it?
exactly great topic to get into. We will get into what is real entrepreneurship and what does it look like, rather than just seeing the end result, flashy cars, house, all that kind of stuff. Because again,
Yeah.
how fulfilling is that really? We buy things that we need, so necessities, and those things will give you transient happiness, but you will habituate, and habituate means you get used to it. In the same way, you may like drinking Coca-Cola. It's never the more time you drink Coke, it's never going to taste like the very first time you had that experience because you get used to it, you habituate to it. And
Right, imagine
so,
that. Imagine if I could just sit back and think of the first time I had a Coke.
yeah,
I can't remember, man. I must have been so young.
you see my point. And everything in life that you experience, pretty much in terms of the way of materialism, will there is habituation. So you get used to it. So happiness is not to be found in the buying or attaining of things. Happiness is to be found in having real experiences, creating memories. The mnemonic, not the mnemonic of the phrase I'm known for that tell people is, do you want to have more? Do you want to do more? Or do you want to be more? And
Hang on,
it
have
can be,
more, do
yeah,
more, be more.
yeah.
Oh,
Let's
right,
put
okay,
it,
yeah.
let's put
Fine.
it to you then. So do you want to have more? Do you want to do more? Or do you want to be more?
I want to be more.
Yeah, okay. So
I'm not
good.
bothered about having things. I don't want to do more than I currently do. I want to become a better person because that those skills you gain from being a better person can improve the other two anyway. So you want the third option. Have I got that right?
There's no, there's again, look, see, you're doing it again. There's no right or wrong to any of this. You could say all three, and that's absolutely correct as well, because it depends on what you're saying you want to have more of. Yeah. So if you say I want to have more time
Oh,
for your
yeah, yeah,
family,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So having isn't just materialism, but that's the way most people think of
That's
it.
weird how I thought of it as materialism straight away.
No, but
Yeah.
that shows me that, and the reason why I use that question is to gauge where somebody's mindset is. So very early on, when I work with clients, I work on the mindset and sort of identify their limiting beliefs, things that hold them back from doing what they want to do. These sort of insightful questions where I don't give them too much what we call framing. So I don't give you the context of the question. I just ask you the question and see where your mind goes. So I can see how you're starting to think. And then the doing more. So doing more for me is like creating memorable experiences. So you and me going jumping off a rock or doing some whitewater rafting. I would love to do more of that kind of stuff. So that is doing more. But you're right. Being more is, am I living my truest, highest, authentic self? The self that is my real self without, I'm naked and exposed. This is my true facade to the world that shines out like a light. And the point of being more is that you want to be that lighthouse where, an Indy turns up as a real Indy, that inspires me, inspires other people to be, right, if he's doing it, he gives me permission to be my best self as well.
But it also takes a big person to be themselves all the time. Like I could filter myself and be a different person on this podcast all the time. Right. It's very easy to fall into that. But then naturally over time, you'll be showing up for bullshit basically and not being clear and not showing yourself up for who you actually are. So It's always better to
100%.
try and be yourself. But however, I've fallen into that trap, pretending to be someone who I'm not. Like I've done that in the corporate world in the past. I've done that
You're
around
not
other people. Like
you're
it
not alone.
happens.
You're absolutely not alone. The question is, again, some people do it unknowingly, some people do it knowingly. The interesting part is when somebody's doing it knowingly, well, why are you doing it knowingly, right? So there's a very simple analogy I use to people. So for myself, if you're somebody who knows me from secondary school, okay, that's a different version of me versus, say, you who knows me from kind of university level,
Mm.
right? So when I turn up to you, when we see each other, in your mind, again, this is subconscious level, you have an expectation of how I'm supposed to show up to you.
Yes.
You expect me to be a certain way based on the interactions we've had. Now that expectation is different to friends from an earlier point, right? But the journey of life is actually knowingly to try and uncover your authentic self means that you're constantly evolving based on your experiences and based on what you value. And so you can either conform to what people expect of you, so the version of your older self that you used to be, or you can turn up as your newest self each time.
Mm.
Now, I'm not saying that there will be some conflict there, and there could be some chaos because you're coming to you're interacting with somebody who doesn't expect you to be a certain way because they have a set expectation of you. But the challenge of life, and the challenge we should all be sort of taking, is create an environment when you're around other people that allows the other person to be their authentic self. So when I'm with you, I don't want to impose on you in a way where you feel that you have to conform to something I expect of you. I want you to be who you are right now. Yeah. And in the same way, I want to keep showing up as my newest, highest authentic self, irrespective of, if you like or don't like it. Yeah, because it's not, it's not because you're not doing it for judgment or validation from somebody else. You're purely and simply doing it for yourself.
Mm.
So that was authenticity.
Mad have we got that from Burnout. So you took on too much. Then when you were taking on too much, you then realized you like having creative projects. When you have those creative projects, did you find a balance correctly? Like, did you recently suffer from burnout? I don't know, at the moment with COVID and everything being burnt out in the wards, not burnt out obviously, but overrun in the wards.
I actually burnt out before COVID, before lockdown one. And what happened there was, it's just, again, just so many projects, so many people wanting to do different things. And at that point, I think my filter is essentially, yes, I can do that. Yes, I could do that. Yes, I can do this. Because I have the ability to do a lot of things, was my thinking. But then what
So
that
one of my
meant
mates, just to stop that, one of my mates thought the same way. He said for a year, I'm going to say yes to everything. And I thought, that's the stupidest thing you can do, man. Why would you want to do that? But then it does open doors for you, but you can turn into this situation where you've agreed to everything and then you forget, or you want to not people please, but you don't realize how you're still accountable to others, and you've set their expectations and you have to fulfill those. So that gets really, really, that turns into quicksand. Basically, you're trying to run and you're just not winning or getting anywhere.
Yeah, look, I'll give you a real example, which involves you actually as well. There was a particular Sunday back in January last year where, let me just think, what was I doing? So like I said, it was in that 45-day period, I think. So on the Saturday, I'd been working. So Monday to Friday, I did my normal job. Saturday, I'd done something else. Sunday, I ran an aesthetics clinic. It was till 3-4 o'clock. And then I came home, and then you and Gopi came over.
Yeah.
And we were talking about shooting a video for that Dubai competition.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Right. And then the next day, Monday, I had work again. And so literally, if I think back to it now, the issue was, so I said about the filter, right? And this is the difference now. So the difference in my filter now is people come up to me now, they want to do projects. Like, Jazz got this idea. I'm like, okay, fine, what's the idea? I always listen to an idea, no issue with that. And then after I listen to an idea, I always ask the person, what's your intention? Okay, if this is for income, if it's for making money, tell me what it is. Okay, that's fine. If it's not for making money and something sort of more charitable, tell me that as well. So I need to know the intention.
Yeah.
And then, but here's the new thing now. So when something gets presented to me, I ask the question, does this align with my values? And I didn't have that before. So
Right.
during the lockdown period, I've walked away from the aesthetic business. I've closed that business because it does not align with my values.
Why didn't it align with your values? Give me the exact reason why.
So the exact reason why was actually a marketer. Let's come back to that. So one of my marketing mentors, who runs a public speaking company, we actually wanted him to do the marketing at one point for the aesthetic business. So we wanted him to create a funnel, lead generation, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And initially he agreed, and then he came back to me, like I said, he mentors me, so we're quite close. And he said, Jazz, look, I don't want to live in a world where people can be made to feel so insecure. So, with ads, you can run very specific ads and target very specific people.
Yes. Obviously,
right?
with you're in the aesthetics business, right? Which is face fillers, lip fillers, all that stuff.
Okay. And
Botox, basically.
Essentially, and at the time, because if you look at our client, a lot of my clientele were sort of the more elderly population. Okay.
Yeah.
And these weren't people who had sort of body dysmorphia and were trying to get very unrealistic results and things. But there is a market for that. So the younger population, younger girls who have lip fillers, that's the most popular thing, cheeks and fillers and chins. And he said, he had a sister, and he said, I don't want to live in a world where my sister could be made to feel insecure about her body and feel the need to get this. And at the time when he said this wasn't in January, this was before, I was like, no, we don't think like that. And obviously that's not our intention. And then I went through a process where I worked with one of my other mentors, and I really did some deep personal introspective work. So introspection is that work where you look at yourself and you try and understand your own perception. So that means understanding why you think the way you think, why you act the way you act, why you are who you are. It's a very high level work, deep work that took many, many months. And it uncovered.
That sounds like a lengthy combo. We could do that for weeks, and I don't think we get anywhere.
we could. I said that. Essentially, that what I've just talked to you, that process of uncovering who you are, why you are, articulating your very specific and unique values. Your values are those things that you give importance to. Uncovering your diamonds. So diamonds are those things that you do so easily, but you take for granted. But they're the things that have got you out of your lowest lows and got you to your highest highs.
Yeah. Uncovering
your vision, your North Star, that compass that orients you to what you are here to do in life. Your mission, about how to get to your North Star, your vision, and your purpose, your reason to be, your ikigai. That specifically is the work I do now with my clients.
Yeah.
And although I've been doing life coaching, let's say, for a few years now, I've really honed down on the niche. So the people I really help now are people who feel lost, who feel insecure, who feel they don't really know who they are.
But isn't that the same? Hang on, are you preying on people's insecurities there, or are you see how this sounds a bit weird now, because you said you stopped doing the Botox thing because it didn't align with your values, and now you're working with people who have insecurity, but in a different kind of insecurity, not a physical insecurity, mental insecurity.
Correct. In the same way people have mental health, so you're advocating that we shouldn't help people with mental health.
No, I'm saying you can, but when you said the word insecurity there, I thought for a second, hang on, what do you mean? And then I was like, oh, now you phrased it in that way, it makes sense. So, okay, yeah.
No, right. I absolutely see your point. And again, look, I have a lot of friends who are still in aesthetics and they don't see it in that way.
Yeah.
But for me, it's very clear now that there's no regret. And we'll come back to the word regret. I'm happy that I had an aesthetic business, ran it, understood the ins and outs, had fun doing it. Okay. So I have no regret about not doing it now. So there was no attraction or pull for me to go back into that industry anymore. And since then, I've had a few opportunities from different people for various different things, but they just don't align with my values. And when I say no to them, there is no sense of FOMO.
Right? Yeah, that's really important.
That's the really big thing now. There's no traction, there's no pull. I can happily listen to somebody, wish them well, And it's fine, because the things I'm honed and focused in now, that's that's my path, that's my ikigai, that's my reason to be. There's traction, there's accountability, and it aligns with my values. So helping people find clarity and understand who they are is work that I think everybody should be doing. And I think a lot of people think just because you get older, you get wiser. Absolutely not true.
No, I've met some people that are old and dumb. Like, I just look at them and I'm like, yeah, you might be old, but age means nothing, man. Like, I've got cousins that are younger than me that are way smarter than I ever was at their age, and I'm like, yeah, you're on a good trajectory. But then I've met elders in my family that I look at and I'm like, no, I don't think you've done enough, like, to push yourself and be a better person. Or maybe that was not on your agenda or something, but you always got to keep pushing and going forward and learning more. Because if you don't, you're going to plateau. And I'm always worried about plateauing and just being the same person. Not the same person conversation wise, but just not learning anything new, or just not moving out of my comfort zone and doing something that is out of the ordinary. Even if I don't tell people about it, I'll still go and do it and just try it. That's why the things that I do in my spare time are really important, because it humbles me to realize I can't do it. So say climbing, I'll go and do that. I'm not great at it, but I keep doing it and I enjoy it, because even though I won't succeed on every climb, you make incremental improvements to complete a climb, you move to the next one. And it's like that constant toing and froing of completion, nearly there, not there, no chance. And that comes with a mental barrier as well, because I'm like, oh, okay, I'm humbling my own self as well from being too cocky or thinking that I know it all. And always being around people that do the similar thing. That's why when I go climbing, I'll go with the boys, because they'll help me to push myself further past the mental barrier that they can see that I might not be able to realize. So having like-minded people around you to get past those barriers is really important. And it's really underrated as well. No one ever taught me that. And I'm just lucky that we've got like a tight circle of friends that help us get through stuff like that. I know people that don't have that and they want to venture out and do something different, but they're too scared to, because they don't have a support network around them, and they don't have people that will not look down on them, but they'll just hate on them, or they don't feel comfortable showing what they're doing to other people and telling them that I'm wishing to go down this pathway. Do you support me, or will you support me, etc.?
Absolutely, man. And I always tell people, look, it's not by chance. There's a good phrase: birds of a feather flock together. Okay, and it's not by chance that you roll with people who resonate on your level. The closest people to me are close to me because they add value to my life. I add value to their life. One of my big values is reciprocation. So I'm a big believer in adding value to somebody else, sharing what I know, because there really isn't a competition. I mean, just the other day, me and her pa were sharing some voice notes. And I was just saying to him, look, he's got a very successful online maths tutoring business. And I couldn't be happier for him. I was like, his success does not compete with my success. And when you get to a level where you understand that, then actually this whole kind of, victim mentality or hating on somebody else's doing well just disappears. It's compete not with the other person.
It's tempting though, isn't it? It is tempting, because you're like, oh, why is he doing better than me? And it is tempting to do that. At the beginning, I used to think like that. I was like, why is he doing better than me? And I was like, ask yourself, really, why is he doing better than you? Because number one, what's doing better than you? Number two, what's he doing in his spare time? What are you doing with your spare time? He may look like he's doing well, but behind that, he might be unhappy, or she might be unhappy. You can't just assume these things. And it's really hard. It's really hard to not fall into that,
because the focus is wrong, isn't it? I mean, although look, our eyes look out and constantly at what we're doing, we're looking at the world, right? So, but the journey of self, the journey of spirituality, the journey of introspection is to turn that and look inwards. Once you start looking inwards, where is the time? Honestly, you will have no time to look at others, because there's so much to do here. So you're right in that question.
Yourself,
yeah. Compete with yourself. Compete with who you were yesterday, not who somebody else is today. Yeah. And the other thing you talked to there, where you talked about the incremental growth, really important point. It's progress equals happiness. This is the key. You achieve a goal. Let's say, okay, let's talk about climbing. Okay, so you do one of your big climbs, and you get to the top.
Yeah.
you feel, man, I've done it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. King Kong climbing the, the Empire State Building. Char gaya
Not
uppar,
the same,
bang.
bro.
Absolutely, you are a hairy guy, man. Absolutely the same, right?
I'm a hairy
You get
guy.
to the top,
Look at
you bang
yourself,
your chest,
man.
you bang your chest, and you're there, right? How long does achieving the goal, the feeling of attainment last?
About 10 seconds.
Okay, it could be longer for somebody else. My point
No,
is,
seriously, it is about
at
10
some
seconds
point,
because I want to move on to the next thing.
fine. And that's my point. So it's not achievement equals happiness,
It's the journey.
progress, the
Yeah.
progress, the feeling of getting small wins every single day in various or across all aspects of your life. So little wins in your relationship, little wins in your job, little wins in your golf swing, little wins in conversation, little wins in running ads, whatever it may be, that's where the happiness is. And I always tell people, look, progress, not perfection. Perfection isn't my end all and be all. And where people are unrealistic is I'm 0% today, so I need to be 100% tomorrow. Whereas the way I frame it is completely different. I'm 0% today, so say I'm learning a new skill. I need to get 1% tomorrow. If I get 1%, that's my incremental, right? And then people do this whole decade challenge and you look back at it and think, wow, look how much growth there's been. Objectively, when you look back at it, there's so much growth. So progress equals happiness and progress, not perfection.
So with the burnout
Antidotes,
thing again.
yeah, antidotes to burnout. These are antidotes to burnout. So what are we talking about? We're talking about spend time with the right people.
But you were saying but going back to your thing of saying obviously spending time with the right people is important and not chase your dreams or that bollocks. No, I'm not saying that. We were talking about what was it? So you were talking about you were in January, me and Gopi had come over, we'd left, you finished the business. The aesthetics business. Then what? Then you said, then what came after that? Because lockdown began then. No, the first lockdown began.
No, so there was probably lockdown was 23rd of March, I think 2020, because I just come back to
but
hospital.
COVID had started hitting in Feb, innit? That's when it started rumbling.
Yeah, but I wasn't working as a doctor at that point. Like I said, so this kind of 9-month period, I was actually left. I was doing pure business.
Okay.
Pure, like, my side hustles and things. I was like, I don't need the medical anymore. And it was in that time, pre-lockdown, where I did the introspective work as well. That I talked to uncover my values and my sort of understanding my belief system and where that's come from. And that was my antidote for chaos. So the analogy I tell people is the phoenix which arises from the ashes. So I was reborn and I was able to shed all the stuff that didn't serve me. That's the key word. So when you look at your life now and you look at the values you think you hold, okay, or the things that your vision, the things you give importance to, do they serve you? That's the question. Is this healthy for me? Is this serving me in a good way? And I got a really good chance to basically look at that because I had COVID anyway at that point, which meant I was isolating. So I was
Did you actually have it?
off. Yeah, I had it in really early in March.
But hang on. Did you have the test, or did you have the antibody test? Because testing back then was inept.
Absolutely, and actually, when I rang 111 and told them, they didn't advocate for tests. You're right, then it's complete chaos then, and there was mayhem. And yes, mine was based on antibodies being tested later, which were positive.
Right, okay, yeah, fine.
But also looking retrospectively at the situation, I lost smell and everything.
Everything aligned with the symptoms, yeah.
My thighs, my Bhangra thunder thighs, lost 5 kilograms. So my thighs went skinny.
Whoa, 5 kg.
Yeah,
mate.
5 kg, man. I was walking up the stairs, I had knee pain. And Shindy's my wife. She saw me with jeans on. She's like, oh my God, you're not even filling out your jeans anymore. Like, just don't wear jeans. You need to do more bird care. You
Go back to shorts.
rejoin Bhangra, wear your legs down. So yeah, that was it. So for me, it was the discovery of self. And you can look, there are other things that when I speak to people sort of on a very high level, if I don't have the chance to really get into deep work with them, it's like, okay, so what can you do? And then it's like, okay, so there are a few simple things that if you try to measure the ROI of them in terms of your well-being or anti-burnout, okay, let's say, on a day-to-day, very hard to measure. But compounded,
it's a cumulative effect. 100% it's a cumulative effect.
Yeah, compounded, it's amazing. Now, these simple things are do conscious breath 10 minutes a day.
So you use stuff like Headspace or Calm or something?
Yeah, I wasn't specifically thinking about that, but as somebody, I know you do yoga as well. Conscious breath, for all the listeners don't know what that is, it's breathing with intention of focusing only on your breathing. So as an example, today, I was doing a half-day clinic and I had a patient come in and we took his blood pressure. His blood pressure was high. And I could see he wasn't relaxing. He was finding it hard to relax. Blood pressure can often go high when you're not relaxed. So I said, right, we're going to use a very simple breathing exercise called box breathing, which is simply you take a breath in for 4 seconds, you hold for 4 seconds, you breathe out for 4 seconds, and you hold for 4 seconds. You repeat the cycle. And it makes it kind of like a box. And that's what's called box breathing. And I got him to do this. And the blood pressure, when we measured, was like as if it was from a different patient, because his mind is purely thinking about breathing. So that's called conscious breath, and we focus on it when I know you and I do yoga, but you can do it purely and simply anywhere. So that was good. Number 2, walking. Now, COVID has meant the once per day exercise became a thing, and you saw a lot of people during summer just walking around, and it's like nature became
nothing outside because it's freezing.
I don't know, man. We still. I think it's even better now. I was journaling about this the other day, and I wrote Eckhart Tolle. Eckhart Tolle has written a book called Power of Now, and Power of Now is essentially his take on how you actually apply mindfulness. How do you become more present? And one of the things he says in there is engage the senses, right? So one of these days we went for a walk. I had my wellies on, the snow, the crunch of the snow with my welly in the foot. I'm thinking only about the crunch of the snow. And this is what I'm journaling, by the way. So I got back and I wrote how amazing it was to go for a walk. And our walking routes are pretty much the same. So despite having the same walking routes for the last 8-9 months, 3 or 4 variations, it doesn't diminish the value of the walk. The feeling you get when and I wrote this in my journal, you come home, you open the door, and there's warmth in the house.
It's warmth, like house, You have that nice rush is there. When you walk in,
But the house is there like hugging you. It's hugging you with this warmth as you come into the house, and the feeling of completion. You've earned this warmth because you've been out and walked. So I actually love it. I love it more now, although yes, in summer it was really good. So there's 2 things. So
you're a winter guy anyway. Like you've told me this. You and Cindy, like you really enjoy the winter. You don't like summer.
Why don't you tell everybody about that walking excursion we had in Lake District earlier this year?
So it was the wettest day of the year, actually, in the UK.
We didn't know that at the time.
Yeah, but it was because it was raining all day. And it was freezing cold, man. And Karan was like, let's go for a walk. And I thought, yeah, all right, let's go for a walk. Where? He said, let's just go and figure it out. Parked up at some castle, went for some long mammoth walk. And I think we had no signal on our phone. And we were just walking through places and eventually just used basic navigation to do a loop and come back round. Walking in some fields with random sheep around us. Single narrow roads, but then only one vehicle can really fit down, even though it's a 2-way street. Yeah, it was great doing it. But the second I got home, I ran straight to the shower because I was like, I need to warm up because I am freezing.
Right. What did we do straight after that? After the baths and the shower?
We sat down and chilled and watched a film.
And what did we drink?
Hot chocolate.
Sitting next to
the fire.
How good did that feel?
That was fantastic. That was fantastic.
Do you see my point? So when I think about what are the simple things, what are the what provides anti-chaos to life, what provides balance, what is there for well-being, these simple things are all around us, but we overcomplicate things as all humans do. Oh no, it can't be that simple. So coming back to it, conscious breath, walking, cooking and food preparation with a light, with some nice music on. Yoga for me, PT definitely. I cannot advocate more. If not PT, just basically being in the gym and doing some form of intense exercise. The release of endorphins is phenomenal. Meditation in whichever form that is. For for me, being Sikhs, for me that's Simran. Although I do use sometimes it's Simran, and sometimes before I go to bed or if I wake in the morning, I use the Calm app. And this
Yeah, I
is
use
sort of
Calm at night time. Fantastic.
visualizations, and
It's great.
yeah,
Really
it's
great.
fantastic. Body scans. I really like doing body scans.
Mm.
Um, so these things, and again, on one individual day, if you measured what's the value of doing a walk, very hard to measure. But the days where I haven't had a walk for a number of days, and then I feel off. Okay, and that's the real value of doing introspective work. It's knowing when you feel off, but also being able to identify this is why I feel off, and then looking at, well, what are the bits and what habits am I not doing today?
That's hard
Very
because
hard.
we're overstimulated nowadays with everything. There's always so many things happening around you no matter what. Like you can look on your phone and you can dive into some deep rabbit holes. Like even just looking at the news, you look at it and you just feel grim. Like I remember when the first lockdown began, I spoke to mum. Mum would go to the shops. My mum's a pharmacist, she owns a pharmacy. She would go to the chemist, she'd work there. Lockdown had just began, so they haven't got any customers in, they have to set up PPE, trying to source that, get that sorted. She'd come home and she put the BBC News on and just look at everything that's happening in the world. And I just said to her, you need to stop this. Like within about the third day of doing it, I said, Mum, you got to stop. She said, why? I said, because you're making yourself feel worse and worse every day by coming home and just not switching off. And you're not.
The consequence of that is projecting as well.
And the consequence of that was she was struggling to turn off and she was getting more and more tired. So I'd say just go and watch some random crappy TV. I don't care what your TV show is, just change it and watch something else. And when she did that, she noticed that she started feeling not massively better, but it brought down her stress level just a little bit. And I was like, okay, at least that's helpful. At least you're getting a break from it. I can only read the news for about 10-15 minutes a day. And when I do that, I'm like, that's enough. I'm good. I don't want to read anymore because the news cycle is just so intense and I can't keep up with all the stuff that's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. And people have a habit, again, unknowingly. And this is what I really find fascinating about human behavior. A lot of what we do, so, the way we think, the way we act, the way we speak, form opinions, is so autopiloted, right? It's at such an unconscious, subconscious level that we just don't know how harmful it can be when compounded over long periods of time. So catastrophizing. Right? So that concept. So I had a lot of people talking to me when I was doing a couple of Facebook Lives during lockdown 1 about how if you sit there and, like you said, watch news all day, every day, as if you're in this kind of like hostage situation,
don't do it, man. Don't do it.
Like the world's about to end and this is happening to me. And, so some people get into that kind of mindset and they become super fearful.
That mindset in lockdown. If you're furloughed, what the fuck are you going to do? Like, you're probably bored. You're probably more worried about, I might start work next month. How's current events looking? And then you fall into this hole just looking at how grim the world is. And you're like, oh, shit, okay. Like, imagine if you were on furlough for lockdown 1, 2, and 3. That's nearly a year now that you've been in lockdown. Unless you have like a solid family base and something to keep you occupied, you might be really struggling. And that might be really difficult.
Absolutely. And on the other side of that, I think, because you get this within entrepreneur circles, where it's like, okay, so how do we make an opportunity out of this bad thing, right? And so then there became kind of unrealistic expectation about, okay, everyone's on furlough, so you should learn a new skill, learn a new language, do this, and this.
Yeah,
and if you don't do that, then you're not used
your
time.
Yeah, I thought that about people, but then it's not realistic to think that about everyone.
It's not. And again, it's because people make comparison. And why do we make comparison? Because we have social media and we have the ability to see. Imagine living in a world where you didn't have the ability to see everything everyone else is doing, right? It's good. There's pros and cons of both these things, but then you're not unconsciously, subconsciously comparing yourself to what someone else is doing. One thing that I always talk about is, look, when chaos hits, when burnout hits, okay, it's you have to adjust your time frame. And by that I mean, when life is good and everything's flowing and you're hitting all the marks, then you can plan month in advance, week in advance, year in advance, couple of years in advance. You can just make all these plans. When shit hits the fan, when chaos is standing right in front of you and you have to confront it, adjust the time frame. The time frame has to be, so same with burnout, is right. What am I doing right now? I'm only going to focus on this right now, and then I'll address the next thing, right? That's the first thing. That's adjusting time frame. The second thing is readjust or adjust your calibrate expectation. So as an example, before lockdown, I might have, I don't know, five meetings in a day or something, okay, on like when I'm doing my business stuff. It's lockdown now, everyone's got to stay at home. That's not a realistic expectation. So why try and achieve things that I know are not going to be achievable? Then I'm going to think about, well, why did I not achieve them?
Yeah.
So I adjust my calibration. So there were some days where, because we were doing kind of this emergency rota where I did 4 days on and 3 days off, right? So in my 3 days off, although I had some good time to work on my business stuff, one of the days it was like, right, I'm going to go for a 30-minute walk today. I'm going to play one game of Cluedo. I'm going to meditate for 30 minutes. If those three things are done, this day is successful.
Yeah.
That's it. So everything beyond that is bonus, but adjust and calibrate settings. Because once you do that, building momentum again, if you do want to scale up, it becomes a lot easier. Whereas if you just every day try and have stretch goals, it's like, yeah, I'm going to achieve this, this, and this, and these 20 things, and just this and this. You're right. Like you said earlier, you just think, oh, I'm not doing any of this. Switch off.
Yeah. And when you don't do any of it, you feel worse, way worse.
Yeah, the next day.
So, all right, that's yours from like a medical perspective. From mine, the marketing one. What happened? So we had. Okay, so think of it this way, right? If you're a client and you're selling stuff online at the moment, your biggest push is like, oh, I need to make this Black Friday and Cyber Monday as great as possible. So I need to make this sale period fantastic. It needs to be great. And inevitably, I feel for them because I'm like, oh shit, I actually want to help them achieve that. How am I going to do that on that set day? I'm going to prep ahead of time. So the whole of November turned into prepping for that whole window of work. That required doing things like more hours, more overtime, really intense work all day. So even though I'm working the same hours, I was cramming in as much as possible in the day to maximize it. So when it came to the Black Friday and Cyber Monday period, I say that because it was meant to be Friday, but some clients wanted to go earlier other days. Some clients wanted to do something on one day only. Like, you have to pay attention to all of it. And because I'm the only person that runs the Google Ad stuff, I was finding myself being like really anxious going into Black Friday. I was like, shit, man, it's just me on my own. Well, what if I fuck this up? What if they don't get anything? What if something goes wrong? And I started thinking all these things through to a much deeper level and working myself up. And then I thought, all right, I need to sort of think what will be. Cool. Start the day goes fine. 5:30, I finish, and I was like, all right, I've got to come back on and check this later. So I said to myself, I'm going to check it over the weekend, just see how things go, but I've got to come back on later and see what people do, because even though everyone's at home, consumer behavior would tell me, all right, on Black Friday, you're going to see a massive surge in sales at the end of the day because everyone comes home normally from work and they're going to be more active and jumping online. The problem was on this day, you can't predict that because everyone's at home anyway. So maybe they're looking on their 10 minutes on the toilet. Maybe they're looking at lunch. Maybe they woke up early and did it before the kids got up. Like, you have to think of all these things. And it's like, fuck, all right, I've got to really get my shit together and just use all of my, I need to get rid of all of my pre-assumptions, get rid of them, and just say, all right, today is just a day like no other, just attack it. So it took a break from 5:30 till 8, jumped on from 8 till 10. Then when I was going to sleep, I couldn't sleep because I was like, shit, what if something goes wrong tomorrow? And I just fell into that cycle of thinking, what if this isn't going wrong? What if tomorrow's a bad day? They've given me more money to spend that I might be able to spend. Then what? What if I just spend it for the sake of it and they don't get any money back? It's like, damn, I've become more invested than probably some of the clients in this moment, because I feel for them. If you're running a business, you really want to have some good results and sustain your business a little bit. And this is the time where everyone's looking for a bargain. So Saturday and Sunday, the same thing happened. I was checking it at like 8 a.m., 10 a.m., 12 p.m., 2 p.m. all day, just jumping in and out, making sure everything was all right. Same on Saturday. Come Monday morning, I was spent because I was like, I've done basically 2 more days of work on Saturday and Sunday intensely. Then Monday is like a brand new different offer. and I was working through Monday night. Tuesday, I came into work. I just felt zombified. I was like, I'm tired, man. I don't want to do this anymore. And when I thought it was all finished, you've got people saying we want to run a Christmas offer. Now that's more complicated because everyone wants to approach Christmas differently. They might have a pre-sale, might have a Boxing Day sale. So prepping for all of that for December, I was so happy to finish work when I took a couple of days leave on the 22nd because I needed time off. I needed to just relax and stop a little bit. And it became a big relief once I had time off and just chilled out and managed to unwind a little bit. But
What does
looking
that
back
look
on
like
that,
for you? Be
to
specific.
me,
So
it was
what's unwind?
to me, it was just what was happening. Gyms were still open, which was nice. So I could go to the gym, I could properly get a workout in. I could go climbing with the boys. I could spend time with Sanj with her by going to see her, and I could be a part and do things with her, like sync up a TV show and watch it. Like little things like that make a massive difference.
How do
Putting on
you
Christmas,
sync up a TV show and watch it?
it's simple. You see, you call the person on the other end and say, right, press play in 3, 2, 1, press play. Right,
And then
that's it.
you just stay on the phone while you watch it? Or?
No. Hang up the phone, and I might message her in between it. And at the end, we'll talk about it.
Oh,
That's it.
okay.
So apparently,
Debrief.
there's like, yeah,
Okay.
apparently there's like this Netflix version where you can sync up a party and put it all together, and you can watch it on the same screen and message each other as it's playing. But I can't be asked with that. If it's on TV, it's on TV. I don't want to put it on a laptop or anything. I want the full immersive experience.
Okay.
So yeah, that was helpful, and having those things to sort of help me unwind was great. And now we've fallen back into January, and there's a new push for, new clients, new business, etc. I'm trying to keep it balanced in my mind so that I can look after myself a little bit and not get too bogged down in not other people's own things, but more so just be happy with myself and the things that I can do. So things I can control is how much I can do a home workout, how much I can talk to people. I can physically control finishing at 5:30. And this is really important, right? I'll put my monitor and my laptop away, and I'll put it away for the day. I stopped doing this recently. I've started doing it again, but closing it all down and putting it to one side, because that way the kitchen feels like the kitchen. I work in the kitchen, right? So it feels like the kitchen. It doesn't feel like my workplace anymore. And that's helpful because the little thing there is my mindset's changed now. I'm out of work. I'm not there anymore. By keeping it
You're not
set up at all
available. You're
times.
not available for work. Yeah.
Yeah. So by keeping it up all day and all night, you just look at it and you think, have I
You should
really
be
finished
doing
work?
this.
I could just jump in and check something, which is not what you want to do.
Yeah, and the fallacy is that you do it for one small thing, and then while
And
I'm
then
here,
you just jump
I
into
can
it, and
do this.
now you're deep,
Do
and it's
this.
10 o'clock, and you're like, oh shit, I've done more than I should have.
I was going to share something with you yesterday, which I might try. And you could try it as well. Might be a bit weird for some people though. So I got a friend, again, one of my mentors, and he essentially has a Calendly. You've heard of Calendly, yeah?
Calendly, I think I used it in one of my old jobs, isn't it?
Scheduling meetings,
Scheduling.
yeah. So he has a link basically for friends. So to make sure he has time in his calendar to speak with friends regularly, he basically sends a Calendly link to all his mates and says, booking time to speak with me on a friend level.
Yeah.
And so I did it yesterday with this person, and I was like, this is like a really good idea. Because although you have intentions to speak with friends, that's a really, really important thing to maintain, like you said, relationships and things. And personally, I'm not a person who likes small talk. I'm more sort of, you do what you do, I do what I do. When we see each other, let's have fun type thing.
But you can't see each other now, innit? So it's a different
But you know
story.
what I mean? Like as in, if you pick up the phone, you need something, I'm there. You want to jam, I'm there. Like that's fine. But I thought, this is a really good way of maintaining and keep making sure that you're available to keep people. And you're really good at that, to be fair. You always message me and say, should we talk?
Yeah, but that's because I don't know. I'll do that for some people because how do I say this? So I've tried it for a number of people. Some people just don't respond because they're bad at responding, and not because they're bad people, but just because they're really bad at responding. So I might exchange a few voice notes with them or messages, and that's it. And then there's others who will be like, yeah, cool. They won't respond. They'll just pick up the phone and call me. And that's great as well. I'm really happy to do things like that. It's about understanding your circle of friends. Is that going to work? Don't assume that because they're busy or because they don't respond that they don't like you. Maybe they're going through their own shit. Maybe they're going through a lot on their plate, and just give them space. When they're ready to talk to you, they'll talk to
you. Yeah. No, exactly that. It's a place, it's the judgment, isn't it? It's the assuming and judgment and not really understanding the other person's perspective. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Our reality is, well, yeah, our perception is our reality. But
Yeah.
it's not the reality. It's not the universal reality. It's just what we think of whatever's happening. And understanding that is a big thing.
So looking back now to stop myself from being burnt out in the future, maybe just not putting so much emphasis on it, thinking what will be, and having set breaks to the point where I can just focus on myself and not get too invested in it, because at the end of the day, I got to put myself first. I got to look at myself and be happy with my outcomes and the work that I've put into something. I know it sounds really wishy-washy, but I've got to be happy with me first before I can give give a great service to somebody else, great value to other people.
And these little habits we talked about, when I first read about them, there's a good book if anybody wants to read. It's called The Miracle Morning. So it's 6 things to do before 8 o'clock. And anybody who watches Lily, there's a really good interview between Gary B and Lily, and she talks about her burnout on there. And
because she was burnt at some point.
So self-care, this is the thing that what people are talking about more and more now. When I read the Miracle Morning, and just very briefly, the 6 habits are 10 minutes of journaling, exercise, affirmations, visualizations, exercise.
You said exercise twice.
Writing. The six anyway. You can look them up, and you do each of them for 10 minutes, or you can do a variation of it. Now, when I first started waking up early, there's a point where I was waking up like 5 a.m. Consistently. What I was doing is I was going to my desk and then just opening my emails and just doing work.
I don't.
So I was like, yeah, I'm awake early, so I'll just do more work. And then I realized, like, now the value of the self-care. It's taking yourself away from certain things and truly trying to be present. Although most of my early stuff in personal development was around entrepreneurship and graft and productivity and all that kind of stuff, now I would say, because I'd say I'm developing those skills and I understand how important those skills are. Now a lot of the stuff I'm reading about and trying to implement is more around mindfulness and being present and the value of being present. When was it? I think it was just 2 days ago. I was speaking to a junior doctor colleague at work, and we were talking about anxiety. So it's one thing we didn't touch upon here today, but obviously the longer term manifestation or physical manifestation of burnout could be anxiety. Okay, and I was saying how anxiety is the thought then leads to emotion. So, the dreaded feeling, let's say, for example, of something that here's the key thing, may or may not happen in the future. Your mind is such a fantastic beast that it can play out all these scenarios in your head, these what ifs, these may happen. But here's the thing, how? Impossible. Impossible. Okay, and here's the thing, because when you think about the shit that's happening in life, the chaos that inevitably will come in your life, think about it. Think about something that's happened to you. Everybody listen, think about something. When it actually happened, you have to deal with it. It's right in front of you. You deal with it. You cope with it, right? That can be coped with. That's the present moment. Try coping with something that hasn't happened, i.e. anxiety.
You can't.
You cannot. So that's why a lot of my focus and attention now is about being truly present and mindful, and when I'm in that state, executing whatever I need to execute, but understanding that actually sometimes I don't need to do anything other than just being present. So we're here, we're recording this podcast, my phone is turned around, my WhatsApp is closed,
same.
No notifications. I'm here. That's it. This is exactly where I need to be, right here on a Saturday, one day before your birthday. Recording this podcast.
You keep adding that in. Oh man, funny.
I think maybe look, listen, wherever you are, whenever you listen to this podcast, just sing a little happy birthday song for Indy. Just
Please don't. Please
Indy
don't.
in the
I
views.
hate attention on my birthday, man. You know
He
this.
absolutely loves it.
I
Just,
do not love it.
reach out to him, tell
Don't reach
him
out to me.
very special. Tell him he's a Buddha.
All right, if we're doing birthday shout outs, then I'm taking Sunny Sohao down with me. It's his birthday too.
Wednesday.
Go and like,
Yeah,
share, comment, and
yeah.
subscribe on his channel because he's
So
a
hilarious.
big Instagram banda now. Banda means man. Big influencer now, doing big things. So yeah, it's his birthday. He's only 2 days younger than me, man. Mad.
3 days. Wednesday.
3? I thought it was the 12th, 13th.
What 13?
Charlie. Sorry, Sunny. I hope he doesn't hate me for that. John, let's call it there then. I think that's been a decent podcast, man. To everyone that listened and got this far, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Hopefully we'll be putting this out once a week. I'll be dropping it on Wednesdays going forward. And any topics, like how we said earlier, shout out to Dev for giving us the topic of burnout. I can't believe we actually made that last that long, which is quite good. So there's a lot of different things in there that we've covered. I think the most important things that we can take away is find yourself a community of people that will not look after you, but you can reach out to, try and spend time with yourself, look after yourself in any way that you see fit, in the most healthy way possible. I'm not saying go out and get smashed every night and cope with it in that way. That's not going to help your health in the long term, but doing things for yourself and trying to step away a little bit from your work and put more into your own development or into your own family or own personal friends will actually reap benefits for you, because you'll feel like you're doing more than just work every day.
Lovely. And guys, when you see this podcast, please share this with other people who you think may enjoy it. Give us a like, give us a follow, subscribe to it, tag one person that needs to hear this, and just comment, what did you enjoy? What was it that resonated with you most? What experiences do you have that relate to what we talked about? We appreciate all the
messages
feedback
are welcome.
and commitment.
Cheers. See you soon, guys.
Signing out. Bye-bye.